Hi, all. Welcome to the last and the final session of this mains answer writing initiative. We'll be concluding today, and our topic for today is environment and science and technology from GS3. So I hope you guys learned something and gotten your answers evaluated on CollectorBabu. If not, again, writing this one last answer would be your chance to test their platform and how well it serves what you intend to achieve from your mains answer writing objective. And that's it. In case you have any feedback, constructive or otherwise, please feel free to comment, and we'll be more than happy to work upon your feedback and to deliver promises to you guys. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen right now and it will be visible to you guys. Yes, it is visible right now. So what is the first question? The first question is a PYQ, and it is: the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has predicted a global sea level rise of about 1 meter by 2100 AD. What would be its impact on India and other countries in the Indian Ocean region? So let's try to dissect the question and let's try to understand what we'll be answering this question and how we'll be answering this question. First, obviously, we will be talking about the sixth assessment report, whereby the IPCC predicted that global sea levels could rise between 0.6 to 1 meters by 2100, and it would be a consequence of glacial melt, thermal expansion of oceans, etc. Also, the Indian Ocean region, it is home to over around 3 billion people, and it is highly vulnerable to sea rise, and there are many coastal cities, and the livelihood is dependent on agriculture, and it is hotspot of biodiversity. So any rise in global sea level will actually impact the Indian Ocean region much more. So it is in this context that we will be analyzing the impact of sea level rise, firstly on India and then on other countries in the IOR. Well said? Okay, let's start. What would be the impact on India? Obviously, the most predictable and easy to gauge is the submergence of coastal cities and islands. There are many like Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata, Kochi. These coastlines will be submerged. Thus, there is this risk of submergence of major cities. Then, again, Sundarbans will be destroyed, contributing to loss of livelihood, contributing to loss of biodiversity, um, contributing to rise in global, basically Sundarbans becoming a carbon source. Then, what would be the other potential causes, impacts? The other would be that the Lakshadweep island, it will become uninhabitable. Okay, so India will be losing much of its land. Also, if you would have read the recent report where the Indian coastline increased by over 4,000 square kilometer, so you have to understand it in this line as well, how the coastlines are getting more stretched out and how this is a result of coastal erosion, which again stems from rising sea level. So, the National Center of Coastal Research reported that 33% of India's coastline is eroding due to rising sea level. Then you can give examples like Odisha's Satabhaya village has already lost 5 villages to the sea. So, impact on agriculture and food security. The saline water intrusion will affect agricultural land in West Bengal, Odisha, and Gujarat. Again, West Bengal is the rice bowl of India. So, any effect on agriculture there would impact the food security nationwide. Then, you will give example like Krishna Godavari Delta, saltwater intrusion has already reduced rice production by 30% in some areas. Loss of biodiversity and mangrove that we already talked about. Also, coral reefs in the Andaman and Nicobars will be lost, so which will lead to mass bleaching episode. And you'll talk about the displacement and climate refugees which will be induced by the rising sea levels. Okay, more than 10 million Indians could be displaced by 2100. This will create humanitarian crisis. This will create pressure on the already stretched resources. Okay, you will give example like Ghoramara Island of West Bengal has already lost half of its land area, which has forced hundreds to migrate. Okay, now we'll come to the second part, which is what would be the impact on the Indian Ocean region. Now select a few, maybe three or four. I think three would suffice. Any three country or region from the Indian Ocean region, and you can talk one or two impacts of the rising sea level on that particular country. The most important example you can give is of Bangladesh and Maldives, right? 80% of Maldives land area is less than 1 meter above the sea level. So in case there is 1 meter sea level rise or even lesser than that sea level rise, it will drastically impact Maldives. And Maldives again will force many people into becoming climate refugees. What else? The tourism industry will collapse. What else? The island again will become uninhabitable. So these are some of the consequences of rising sea level on Maldives. What else? Bangladesh. So 17% of Bangladesh land area could be submerged, which will displace 30 million people by 2050. Example, Boha Island has lost 54% of its land. So we are talking about Bangladesh. What else? You can talk about Sri Lanka. Obviously, Indonesia is another example that you can give, how its capital has been sinking at the rate of 10 centimeter. And now there has been this plan to relocate the capital. This is some of the mitigation measure. You'll talk about East Africa, countries like Tanzania, Kenya, Mozambique, etc. They're facing coastal erosion, which affects their tourism and fisheries industry. So these are basically the impacts of climate change, of the rising sea level on various countries in the Indian Ocean region, including India. What else? So just listing out the problems isn't enough. You have to suggest some mitigation and adaptation strategy. So what would those mitigation and adaptation strategies be? You can actually talk about making climate resilient agriculture and water management a priority. Okay, talk about saline resistant crops, for example flood tolerant rice being tried out in Bangladesh, then rainwater harvesting in Maldives to reduce the groundwater dependence. What else? We'll talk about protecting coastal infrastructure by using sea walls and break walls and mangrove restoration. Here Mishti scheme would be a case in point. You'll talk about mangroves alliance for future again. Okay, then you can give Maldives example, how Maldives is building artificial islands like Hul Humali. Please forgive my pronunciation. And which is elevated 2 meters above the sea level. Its normal islands are 1 meter above the sea level, but it is above 2 meter. It is above 2 meter, so as to adapt or basically mitigate itself from the ill impacts of the climate change. What else? You will talk about climate resilient infrastructure, then reallocation and adaptation. Here you can give example of Jakarta, okay, Indonesia's plan. Then you can talk about strengthening global commitment, for example through the loss and damage fund, which was set up in COP18, where the most vulnerable nations in the Indian Oceans should be supported. Also, there should be bilateral agreements or maybe multilateral agreements, a global level dialogue and treaty to actually do something and propound on the rights of climate refugees. Then you can just conclude by saying how the IPCC warning has come at the right time, and still there is this window of opportunity where the world can do something about the rising sea level, adapt to mitigation and adaptation strategy, because we need to shield ourselves from the worst consequences of climate change. So this was the PYQ. I hope you guys have understood what the question was. I hope you guys know the drill. Now we'll go on to answer the second question, which is, again, this is related to ecology. Again, this is related to carbon sequestration. Again, this is related to energy security, climate change, etc. So basically, this climate change part is a recurring theme in the mains question. So try to write a few, maybe 5 to 10 questions on climate change, all aspects of climate change related, renewable energy, NDCs, etc. And you will be done for the environment section, more or less. Then the question is, India aims to achieve net zero emissions by 2070 while ensuring economic growth and energy security. Discuss the challenges and opportunities in balancing these objectives. Suggest policy measures to achieve sustainable development. Basically, it is how feasible it is for India to achieve net zero by 2070. Can it be done? What are the challenges? What are the opportunities? And what should be the way forward? Simple. So we'll divide it. What are the challenges, opportunities, and way forward? Let's start with the introduction. For the introduction part, analyze what you're going to write. You will definitely talk about the NDC commitment of India, right? Where India is the world's third largest emitter of greenhouse gas, and it has committed to achieving net zero emissions by 2070 at COP 2026. It will ensure energy security, and economic growth. Okay, while ensuring. So this transition, it poses challenges which are related to infrastructure, which are related to financing, and which are related to developing a feasible technology. So what are the challenges? The first is high dependence on fossil fuel. Okay, India meets 56% of its energy needs from coal. So a rapid shift to renewable risks energy shortages and job losses. It can be very easily understood. Then financial constraint. The India climate financing requirement is estimated at $10 trillion by 2070. So there's this huge financial burden which India will have to bear, whether by loans or grants or whatever its strategy is. So, but as of now, there's this inefficient and insufficient international climate financing which hinders the transition, which is a challenge, right? Then you will talk about technological limitations. For example, to develop green hydrogen and carbon capture or even battery storage technology, all these new frontiers are still in very early stages of development. It will require very heavy upfront investment. Okay. Then what else? You'll talk about infrastructure and grid stability issue, because the renewable energy are intermittent. It will, in a short term at least, hinder the energy security. If we switch to fully committing to net zero and fully switch to renewable energy sources. Then again, economic and social impact, because if we talk about the employment in the coal sector or the power sector, it's like more than 4 million people directly. So this closure of the thermal sector, the thermal power plant, etc., will lead to social unrest, right? Will lead to economic cost for the people who are employed there. The again here the question of life versus livelihood arises. What would be the opportunity? One opportunity would be definitely that yes, people have lost their job in the coal and the thermal sector, but obviously they can be employed in the renewable sector, right? So shift the people there. Then renewable energy, so that it will increase energy efficiency. For example, India, lying in the basically tropical subtropical zone, receives sunshine most time of the year, so India can capitalize on that natural resource. Again, so India launched this green hydrogen mission with a budget of around 90,000 crore. Then this would create India to be a global green hydrogen hub. For this, upfront investment is required, but again, this is a step in right direction. This is the opportunity for India to actually become a global hub. Then we can talk about international collaboration. For example, India and EU are talking about a green deal which aims to boost technology sharing. Obviously, for the solar, we can talk about One Sun, One World, One Grid initiative, which aims to enhance global energy cooperation, right? What else? You'll talk about renewable, for example, if 4 million people lose their job in the coal sector, then obviously they can be employed in other sector. What are the policy measures? Strengthening carbon market, for example, the carbon trading scheme. What else? There should be phased energy transition. For example, the gradual coal phase out with economic diversification for the coal dependent states, right? And what else? Scaling up the energy storage solutions, because this is the urgent requirement if we have to switch to renewable energy for a long and sustained period, because without energy storage, the challenge of intermittency would not be addressed. Then, sustainable agricultural practices, promoting natural farming, agroforestry, and efficient irrigation system, which will help cut carbon emission, because in the end, we have to move to net zero by 2070. What else? This India's journey towards net zero presents both challenges and opportunity. India can balance the climate goals with economic and energy security. None can be prioritized over the other, because we have to think in the long run while ensuring that social and economic stability sustains. What else? The third question is from the science and technology, which is again about the buzzword that is going in around artificial intelligence, and particularly the role of artificial intelligence in governance and public service in India. Okay, so here is the question. Artificial intelligence is transforming governance and public services in India. Critically analyze the potential of artificial intelligence in governance while addressing ethical and regulatory challenges. What are you supposed to do? You are supposed to talk about the potential of AI in governance. What else? You have to talk about how to address ethical and regulatory challenges. Simple. So, AI is revolutionizing governance, enhancing efficiency, decision making, and service delivery. You can give certain examples like AI for All initiative, Indie AI initiative, and Bhashini, which is real time language translator based on AI. But AI also poses challenges and risks related to ethical, privacy, and bias related concerns, which will again require robust regulation. So, for the robust regulation part, what can you do? You can talk about EU AI regulation, you can talk about Bletchley Declaration, you can talk about Hiroshima Declaration. Okay, so there are a few avenues where the regulation is being discussed, but there is no global consensus in how AI will be regulated. Again, some new chatbots which claim to be as efficient as ChatGPT o1, which is DeepSeek R1, comes into picture, which will again pose new hurdles and challenges as to how China will be taking on its AI risk. Let other things remain where it is. Let's try to answer the question. So, what is the potential of AI in governance? First would be that it will help in ensuring that the public service delivery is efficient, isn't it? What else? By AI chatbots, for example, on various platforms, even IRCTC, Umang app, etc., it will help improve citizen engagement. What else? Healthcare, Niti Aayog's AI for Health initiative, which would aid in early disease detection, which would aid in drug discovery. Okay, so it will improve the health arena of the people. Then, judicial and legal reforms. Talk about Supreme Court's AI portal, which will help in case law analysis and help reduce backlog. Again, AI based predictive justice can help enhance decision making. Smart policing and national security, crime mapping, and predictive policing, which is currently being deployed at certain parts in Delhi and UP, will help anticipate crime hotspots. Then, AI based drone surveillance for border security, for example, Bharat Drone Shakti initiative. What else? Disaster management and climate resilience, AI driven early warning system for flood, cyclone, IMD's AI enhanced forecasting. Basically, AI or the ChatGPT based plugins are being used across the platforms to aid in public governance, to aid in disaster management, etc. So it has the potential to improve governance, to ensure ease of life for the citizens. What else? The second part of the question, which is what are the ethical and regulatory challenges? Talk about the challenges. First, that there is bias and discrimination in AI algorithm. Facial recognition software like Aadhaar based authentication has reported false positives affecting marginalized groups. Again, this has been seen in US, how predictive policing, how this facial recognition, etc., is biased towards people of color. Again, such can be and will be observed across the globe, including India. So you have to ensure that the training data of AI is not biased. But again, how to do it? If the human society itself is biased, then the AI it trains will be biased too. As Martin Heidegger said, that technology is the realm of revealing. So, talk about data privacy and surveillance concern. Again, mass surveillance through facial recognition system, etc. This will hinder privacy of the people, which again is a fundamental right. Okay. Again, there is this absence of dedicated AI regulation framework that again is passed by the legislature, that has public acceptance, that has been thoroughly scrutinized by the parliamentary committee. We don't have any such regulation for the AI in India. Employment displacement, that automation could impact job creation and already existing job in India across the BPO sector, which again is the major service sector in India. What else? Cybersecurity and AI misuse, the deepfake technology and AI generated misinformation, it poses threat to democracy. AI based cyber attacks are rising. Okay, what else? Regulatory and policy recommendation, AI ethics and fairness framework. You can talk about this. There was also Niti Aayog's guidelines for responsible AI, which should be there to prevent bias. Then data protection and privacy laws, reskilling and AI-driven job creation. For example, the Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana or the skill development mission should aim at enhancing and upskilling workers for AI-based job and not just routine mechanical job, which would in near future just get automated and they won't be having any skill and no job as well. Also, create a dedicated AI governance council and regulatory body. Again, recently a report was released on the way forward, which should be for AI governance. You can have a look at it and incorporate those components in your answers as well. We can just conclude, which is AI has the potential to transform governance with strong data privacy laws, accountability mechanisms, and ethical AI practices. India can harness AI responsibly for sustainable and inclusive growth. Okay. Hopefully, this 3-month experience was something that was insightful for at least a few of you. If you guys have taken benefit of this initiative, please spread the words among your community, among your friends. And if you guys have any feedback to give, don't hesitate. Please feel free to comment down below. And all the best. Start preparing for prelims. And if you guys still have time, keep writing for mains. It will always be beneficial. And take care. Tata. Bye-bye.